All right, what is up, friends? We are back on the Dart language tour. In the built-in types section, we're going to go over two of the last subsections in here today, the runes and grapheme clusters. That's quite the mouthful, and two words that I had previously, I don't think, ever used in the English language before, runes and graphemes. And then symbols, which is another type. Okay, both are kind of related to strings in a way, but yeah, I think we're going to cover both of them, and then we'll get on to functions next time. Okay, so let's check it out. Runes and grapheme clusters. When I see these two words, I think emoji, special characters that aren't what I'm used to in the English language, like the standard alphabetical type stuff. Okay, so in Dart, runes expose the Unicode points of a string. Okay, you can use the characters package to view or manipulate user perceived characters, also known as Unicode extended grapheme clusters. Okay, so in my mind, like, the rune is the visual representation, the user perceived characters, like the Danish flag here. Okay, so these are like the Unicode extended grapheme clusters. If you recall from the strings video I did, you can see that under the hood, each string character is represented by a code point. And so these are like a little bit of a different type of code point, if you will. It's just a way to represent a user perceived character. Okay, it's a little bit more than just like an integer. It has a special \u that we'll show in a second. Okay, so that's kind of the concept behind that, I think. Unicode defines a unique numeric value for each letter, digit, and symbol used in all of the world's writing systems. Okay, this symbol here is not the same as this symbol we're going to talk about later. This is more like an actual symbol like this, or some, heart like this, or whatever, that symbol. Okay. All right, because a Dart, string is a sequence of UTF-16 code units. Expressing Unicode code points within a string requires special syntax. So we couldn't just, UTF-16 could not comprise or hold the representations for these special symbols. That's why we need that special syntax. When it says special syntax, it's \u followed by either a number or an expression of a number. I think if it's bigger than 4 characters or 4 digits. Okay. The usual way to express a Unicode code point is the \u followed by those 4, where those 4 digits is a 4-digit hexadecimal value. So I think it can also hold letters as well. It's just when it gets beyond 4 for representation, then we need to add the brackets or the braces, curly braces. For example, the heart character is \u 2665 to specify more or less than 4 hex digits based on whatever you want to print to the screen. Place the value in curly brackets or curly braces. Okay. And there's the laughing emoji. All right, so let's check this out real quick. So \u 2665. Let's try to just print that. I was doing some stuff earlier. Disregard that. Print. So we have \u 2665. Okay, if we print this, that's going to give us that heart that we just saw. If we want the laughing emoji, we need 1F606. Let's do it without first. See what happens. See what kind of error we get. Let's see if it can analyze it. It looks like it's not doing analysis on this. It's just going to tell us when we run it what that comes out to. So it looks like it really interpreted the first 4 characters and then was like, oh, here's a 6, right? So same thing would be like this, plus 6, the string. So that should give us the same thing. So that's what that is doing. This little W apostrophe looking character. Okay, but really we wanted the laughing emoji, and we need to insert these curly braces. Okay, so now that entire chunk is going to be processed with the \u to give us the laughing emoji. Okay, just so you know, I think you can, if you just put it in, like, you're not gonna have to use this in code. I think you can actually use just straight emoji. What is that? I thought it was Command Option period to bring that up. What is it? It's a Mac emoji keyboard shortcut. Control Command space. That's not the dot. Okay. Command Control space. Boom, like that. Okay, so now we can do like screen face. Put it in there, and when you print it, it should also print over here. Okay, so there's that. I wonder if there's any methods. See if you say code units now, I wonder if it'll print out that special Unicode representation. It doesn't, it actually has 2, so that's interesting. I'm not sure what's going on there, why it does it like that. Is there any way to say, like, what's the Unicode for this? Runes? Whoa. I thought I saw runes just now. Oops, not you, dude. Yeah, runes. Okay. Alright, what does runes do? Okay, it gives me back some other number. We don't know. Okay, so that's the living in the Wild West here. Okay, let's stay on track, because again, this is just supposed to be kind of an aside. Not as important as the other built-in types we've already done. Okay, I try to think of this \u. It's kind of like, and what did we have? We had like 2665. To me, this is kind of like, remember, we have string interpolation, and we can say something like that. Okay, so that's like a variable, some string. Okay. So we have a heart and some string. Yeah, what I'm showing here is that this $, whenever the whenever Dart is run, when it's compiled, it should see these as special characters, \u, $, and then do something special with these. Okay, so that's how you should also see it. And this is similar to the expression syntax where you introduce the curly braces. So it's nice that it's kind of in the same family. Okay, if you need to read or write individual Unicode characters, use the characters getter defined on string by the characters package. Okay, so this is something you have to import into your program in order to use. You don't get it for free out of the box, as they say. The returning characters object is the string as a sequence of Grapheme clusters. Okay, so here's an example. Let's take all of this and put it in here. And there's going to be something wrong with that, and it is that the import is not called inside of any function. It is at the top level of the file. Now let's format it. There we go. Okay, so first things first, before we use this characters import, I just want to define the high variable as high with the Danish flag, and then print high Okay, and so that should show. We did this earlier with the screen face, where you can put that literally in your code like that, and it should just print it just fine. But what's happening here is the end of the string. If you say substring and you try to strip off the last character, is it going to give you this thing? Remember, I think, what did it say? These were UTF-16 is how the strings are represented in Dart, but this symbol requires Unicode. So if we try to just use the standard string thing, I think it's going to print out some funny character that is not the Danish flag. Okay, so the end of the string, according to this formula, is incorrect. Okay, and that's why I said we have to import the characters library to actually print off that last character. Okay, so that's what that is. Pretty cool. Okay, for details on using the characters package to manipulate strings, there's an example here where you can look at the characters package. That goes to, like, if you go to pub.dev, I think you can find characters. Okay, there it is, string replacement with operations that are Unicode Grapheme cluster aware. It doesn't have all its pub points. How sad. And you can go look at it on GitHub, and it has a whole bunch more information. Okay, so go check it out. Okay, so that's it for Unicode for runes and graphemes. Right. Next bit is symbols. Okay. Symbols, just like an ID identifier on a website, you've got this hash thing. Okay, so what is a symbol? From what I can tell, if you're familiar with the Ruby symbol, that's the place that I came from. In Ruby, for example, if you have a hash, or what Dart calls a map, they typically recommend using a symbol instead of a string for your key, because it's more performant, something like that. These symbols in Dart aren't like Ruby symbols in that sense, because Dart still uses just regular strings all over the place for your map keys. So let's go in by example. That might be the best way to understand it. So a symbol object represents an operator or identifier. Hello, those things there, declared in a Dart program. You might never need to use symbols. Okay, so I would say be aware of what a symbol is, but put it in your back pocket, and you'll probably never have to take it out if you're a Flutter developer. Maybe if you're writing more low-level test, maybe debugger, logging type stuff, you might need to use it. Otherwise, just know that it exists, and don't worry about it. But they're invaluable for APIs that refer to identifiers by name, because minification, okay, so this is stuff that goes on either when you're compiling or you're targeting. Maybe it does it on web. That's where I've seen minification before, but maybe it also does it when it compiles your actual program down and minifies things. I've not gotten into the weeds to know for sure. Minification changes identifier names, but not identifier symbols. So you could have like a method called go get groceries, like that's your method name, but when it's minified, it might just be the letter A, or whatever the minification process decides to make it, unless you give it a symbol, which it will keep, apparently. So to get the symbol for an identifier, use a symbol literal, which is the hashtag followed by the identifier, just like this. and they are compile time constants. So putting a const in front of it is redundant. Okay. Yeah, let's show these few things first. So in 2013, apparently there's this thing called invocation mirror, and then they split it out into invocation and symbol. You can, I'll post this this link. This is at news.dartlang.org. I think everything from this blog is now being done in their Medium place blog thing. But this one here, it's I don't know when I would use it personally. So anyways, this is kind of where they introduced it on April 17th. A nice article there to go in depth, and then there is this Google group discussion. The very next day, it seems like a pretty in-depth thing. Would be good to read if you're interested. It's kind of cool to get into these discussions, and also if you haven't joined groups like this is your chance to go and join the group so that you can be involved in these discussions as they happen. Okay, so that's a pretty cool discussion there about what are symbols in Dart. And then finally, I was curious, where are symbols used in the wild? And so I thought, well, maybe I'll search the Flutter code base for a symbol. And yeah, so I just did symbol, searching within Flutter. And there are some places where there's like a test application they have about like the stock market symbols, the tickers. That's not what this symbol means that we're talking about. We're more concerned like with this capital S, this type. Okay, so they use it there like in the recording canvas. They use it in some test files. They also use it in this mock canvas. Where else? Okay. Yeah, let's look at the mock canvas. So we'll go into here. Oops. Symbol. Okay, so they're saying the method argument is a symbol. Okay, so they use it within this this canvas thing. And then where did they? Okay, so this is where they use like there's a static variable, this const called list. It's a list of symbols. It's private, also non-painting operations. They're saying, hey, there's a list of symbols here, and here's where they actually use the symbol literals. So yeah, it's used in the Flutter code base. I've never seen it in an actual Flutter application. So yeah, so let's play around with it real quick. I want to see what we can do with it. So remember, it's like a let's create a variable, and let's just print our symbol. Okay, and see what it prints out. Okay, so it's interesting in that it looks like a string that is just wrapped in a, like it's wrapped in a widget, so to speak. Like you can see in Flutter, a lot of times you'll have text, and then like, here's my text. Okay, it kind of looks like that, right? So there's a symbol representing a string. So that lets you know that, hey, maybe I can declare the type here, say symbol, let's call it symbol2, and we can say symbol, and instead of using the literal syntax, we'll use this symbol constructor syntax. All right, now can we print symbol2? Okay, something like that. Okay, so that works as well. You can have new here. That's that old syntax. It's running. Hello. There it goes. Same thing. You can also use const. I think this is redundant because it said symbol literals are compile time constants. Well, that's a symbol literal. Maybe this isn't a compile time constant. Yeah, But just because they say a literal is a compile time constant doesn't negate and make this way of invoking it or instantiating it a compile. It doesn't make it not a compile time constant. Okay, so you can do that. For example, you could have a variable like my symbol map, and in order to set the types, it's going to be a map with a symbol and maybe a string. Okay, so we've got our empty array here, and now we can print my symbol map. Okay, it looks like an empty thing. Let's put some stuff in it. Let's just say food with a colon. As bang buzz kill, like so. Okay. So it's a little ugly that you know, what it prints out is all these symbol things. But again, if you're not using it that much, that's okay. Now I did want to see, like, what if I try to do this twice? Will it allow it? I think it'll treat it just like a string and kind of strip it out. Yeah. Okay. So that is, those are symbols. That's how you can use them. You're probably not going to use them unless you really need them, at which point you have moved well beyond this language tour video. Thank you for spending some time with me. Check back in for next time when we will go over some functions. All right, see you later.